Shabbat Shalom and welcome to our online service. I am Rabbi Maureen Werber and I am honored to serve Congregation Beth Adam in Cincinnati as well as far beyond through services that we join together in this way. I'm also privileged to share our beautiful liturgy, which is created by our community in order to celebrate Shabbat in a unique, thoughtful, engaging, challenging, and joyful way. We will frequently bring music into our services, although not this week. You'll have to join us again next time, and hopefully we'll have some music as well as our wonderful liturgy. Let's begin by letting go of outside distractions and inviting in the joy and the peacefulness of Shabbat with a couple of deep breaths. "6 days we speak. Tonight we listen. 6 days we build. Tonight we rest. 6 days we take care of others. Tonight we nurture ourselves. 6 days we work to change our world. Tonight we are renewed by what is eternal. 6 days we plan for the future. Tonight we are enveloped in the present. 6 days we eat and drink in haste. Tonight we savor the taste of bread and wine and feel the bond of the world that feeds us. 6 days we teach. Tonight we learn. 6 days we hear the clamor. Tonight we listen for clarity. 6 days we struggle to expand our influence. Tonight we are dissolved into a greater influence. 6 days we focus our vision on the task at hand. Tonight we look beyond what we can see. May each of us find our Sabbath peace." On Shabbat, we light the candles. Candles bring forth light, illuminating the darkness. Candles offer us warmth, providing comfort. Candles awaken us as we reach for possibilities. As we light these candles, let us use their light to stretch beyond ourselves, touching others, bettering our world. Baruch ha'or ba'olam, blessed is the light within the world. Baruch ha'or ba'adam, blessed is the light within each person. Baruch ha'or ba'shabbat, blessed is the light of Shabbat. We are so happy to have Maureen Marks here to speak with us tonight. As I think by now everybody knows, Maureen was the chair of the search committee, so we got to know each other a little bit over that period of time. We probably already know everything about you, but I'll give you the one sentence that Maureen was trained as a clinical psychologist and now works in organization development with the VA and does quite a bit of work on the topic of change and transition. The board was fortunate to have you speak about how to manage change and transition, but I want to have a bit of a different conversation with you tonight. We debated a little bit what we wanted to talk about. Author Israel Zangwill said, like language, a religion is dead when it ceases to change. A religion is dead when it ceases to change. It's certainly the philosophy of Judaism of Beth Adam from the very beginning. We understand the idea of evolution, of transition, of transformation, and Rabbi Barr has led for decades with that at the basis of what Beth Adam is about. Tonight, I'm hoping we can think a little about the opportunities that change brings. So instead of still talking about the things that make us nervous, the things that excite us, the things that we can be and become. And I'm thinking really broadly here. I'm here as the new rabbi, but Beth Adam is Beth Adam. And change is happening here, as it always has, and change is happening in the greater world, and it happens in our personal lives all the time. So it's a more general idea of how we take change and make the most of it. Mm-hmm. If we think specifically of Beth Adam, your choice, if you want to go bigger, smaller, I'm curious about what opportunity it does bring in terms of how we choose to relate to Beth Adam and how we choose to see our place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one of the things that I find so exciting about transitions is just what you're talking about, that opportunity to stop and reevaluate for ourselves as individuals, not just as an organization or as an institution, and really think about how do I want to engage in this community. And, that this transition is not just a transition for you and for the staff or the congregation as a whole, but it really is a transition for each one of us. And that we each get to decide or take the time maybe to evaluate, how have I been engaged with Beth Adam over the time I've been a member? And now with this transition that we have over the next year or a few years, how do I want to change that? Do I want to get involved in different ways? Do I want to, offer a part of myself that I haven't to, so I think this is just a great time for all of us as individuals to think about our relationship to Beth Adam and where we would like it to go, and how we would like it to change or stay the same.
If I'm understanding it right, it's really interesting because it's not even all that much about this particular transition. This transition just serves as a catalyst for something we could have been doing.
Right, it's an opportunity. Yeah, it's almost, in some ways, we've got the high holidays right around the corner. We have a presidential election right around the corner. So there's lots of kind of moments when we have that opportunity to stop and take stock. And, every year the holidays, we're encouraged to do that, stop and take stock. Do I like the way my life is going? Do I like the direction that things are going? How can I engage in that differently? Do I want to engage in it differently? Do I want to double down on some things that I've been doing? And it's taking advantage of those moments where we have these kind of natural transition periods, or New Year's Eve. That's often New Year's Eve for a lot of people is that opportunity. So we have throughout the course of a given year, let alone this moment in Beth Adam's history, we have those chances to be able to, to stop and take a look at and evaluate who we are, what we want to be, how we want to engage.
I love it because it puts so much on us as individuals, and we often frame it as our responsibility. And what are we responsible for doing? But as you're talking, it's almost more about our empowerment, right? So, what are we empowered to do in this place, both with what we love and what we don't love so much?
Yeah, what we'd like to see different, even if it's just not necessarily we don't love it, but that it could be enhanced, it could be even more than what it is. And what do I as an individual have to bring to that? And I think we're always happiest when we are making use of our strengths and bringing those to bear. Whether that's at work, with our families, in our hobbies, our playtime, in these communities that, we care about so much. And, so I've been doing that kind of thinking myself, now that the search committee activities are kind of winding down. We've still got a bunch of events that we're, kind of shepherding over this next year, but I'm thinking about, so what do I want for myself in terms of being an active member of Beth Adam? Where do I want to go from here and stuff? How do I want to support you? What are the things? Well, what are the things that I think would be helpful to share with you, or to talk as a community about in what directions that we can.
I'm surprising myself here. I have never thought about change and opportunity along explicitly along the lines of what are my strengths and the things that I bring. And that connects to what I was thinking about asking you, which is if there are tips for how we do this taking stock and this deciding. And I think one of the tips is you think about what are your strengths and what are your strengths.
Right. Strengths and interests and values. What are the things that are most important to me at the end of my life? I mean, it's kind of cliche, but at the end of my life, what do I want to be able to look back and be proud of? What do I want to be able to look back and know I influenced this, or I had a contribution here. And so being really clear about what strengths, so once I understand those things, then looking at what the landscape is and where do those things fit, or where do I want to try and make it fit.
Right. And are there exercises that help with that, or writing it down, or is there anything concrete people can do to really crystallize those things?
Well, there are actually some assessments. There's some free assessments online. There's one called the Clifton Strengths Finder that actually we've used in my office at the Department of Veterans Affairs, where we have staff, and you can do it free online. You can also pay like $20 for a more in-depth report, and it's really fascinating. It has been super helpful in our office in identifying people's strengths, so that we know where to put people, like what kind of jobs are going to be helpful to people. There's also I'm trying to remember, it's a values. I can't remember the name of it. There's a values inventory that's similar, but it's about values and what you value is important to you.
Well, I'm gonna have to get that.
Yeah,
maybe we can look it up.
Yeah.
I've done one that's for I think it's through Working Genius. That's where your strengths are in the work world, and trying to match people who have different strengths in any but I haven't seen the ones you're talking about.
Yeah, I love the Clifton Strengths.
Yeah, I can't wait to do that. Once you hear about it, you can't help it. I gotta do it. The other thing I might add, because of the community, because we're a community that's here for when we talk.
Because that can be part of this transition process, this change that we're engaged in right now. Is I'm hoping people will feel comfortable really thinking about not only, like you said, what I have to offer, but what needs do I have, and what needs do I have that have been filled really well so far in this congregation that I want to see continued, and what are some ones that there may be gaps. There may be needs that you've been getting that in other ways because you couldn't get them here. And those would be, I think, things that we would want to talk about and see if there's some consensus around that. Because if one person needs it, everybody else can do.
Exactly, and that's part of that's communication too. So not really a question for Maureen, but for everybody who's joining us. I invite you to reach out to me, and you can reach out to Sam. You can reach out, to other people in leadership if you have ideas, or if you have, in any direction, if you have needs that you would like to see us addressing, if you have skills and interests that you want to put to use, make sure you're reaching out and letting us know. And if you have ideas for how we can do more of something and do something a little differently, not as we said at the beginning, not necessarily even because change is happening, but because that gives us a chance to think about things and reassess things.
Right. It's just an opportunity to stop and evaluate.
And that brings me to what happens. People have do what you're suggesting, right? And we think about where we are and where we want to be and what we can contribute. Again, any tips for that's the hardest step, right? It's the next step. Maybe it's not. It's one of the hard steps of actually making some of it happen.
Yeah. Well, I think here we've gotten to a size where the best way is to go through, I think, the congregational office, is to call the main office and just talk with with Melissa, Jody, you, Rabbi Barr, for the next year, still with us. And just talk about the things that you're thinking about, or that needs that you have, places that ways that you would like to contribute, the strengths that you have, that you'd like to put to use, but you're not sure how. Talk to Sam Cooper, talk to other people on the board, because all of those people are going to be very plugged in and know how to direct you, and who to refer you to, or what opportunities to offer, that may satisfy things. That's, for me, those were the best doorways.
I love it because it's so concrete,
It's very concrete. Yeah.
Send an email, pick up the phone,
Pick up the
easy.
phone. Yeah.
There's also an element of how each of us feel as we're assessing what we want to give. We also really need to think about how do we want to feel doing that. So for everybody, that's another thing that's open for conversation at any time, right? If something is feeling great and you don't want to let it go, if something is feeling like it's missing and you want to work on that, those are things to communicate also.
Yeah. I mean, that to me sounds like you're talking about culture. Like what's kind of our general culture here, and how do we want to nurture that, about our culture, and that's always just little behaviors that we're all doing, that helps to kind of shape the culture that we have, and thinking about, is it where we want it to be? Do we want it to grow in new directions? What do we want to make sure we hang on to?
And those are often things you don't even know you have, right?
Right.
Unless you stop and think.
Yeah.
It's not
really right.
but if someone who has never been here came here, they would note these things that are probably very important to wrap it out. I think it's important for everybody to keep those things in mind too, and always be thinking about them as well. So, I could ask you something else, but first, anything you want? Anything I missed?
No, I don't think so. I mean, to me, again, I think the most important part is just not letting these opportunities go by. When we have these kind of moments, sometimes they're extended moments, but these moments in our lives where, something important is changing, there's always, even when change is difficult, there's opportunity in it. And I think, I know for me, I've ended up in a much better place where when I focus on the opportunity as much or more than the difficulty.
Absolutely, and like you said, our timing is perfect. The month of Elul has just begun, which is this month leading up to the High Holy Days. And the idea is, in the traditional words, it's a cheshbon nefesh, an accounting of the soul. But the idea is that every day we take a little time to look at who we are and what we're doing and where we are in the world, and if that matches the person we want to be. Not to get to perfection, because that would be really boring and then there'd be no need to do anything else, but to keep that movement and that transformation and those changes happening. So we're at exactly the right time. Although it should be all the time as well, but this focused time now of the month of Elul, to be ready at Rosh Hashanah, where we celebrate beginnings, right? To say there are things that we're beginning again. Some things continue and some things begin again. And then to be free by Yom Kippur to be our best selves again. So timing couldn't be better. One last question, and it's not a question about specifics, but if you look at this year that we're in, this is a hard question. What do you hope we feel like or look like or think like a year from now? And as we move forward from there.
I hope we feel hope and optimism, and empowered to influence the things around us that are important. Like I said, I think that there's a lot of things around over the next year that are going to impact that, and so that's what I'm looking for in a year from now, is to feel hope and optimism and empowerment.
And that's a tall order in our world,
yes.
Right? So as I said, I wasn't trying to talk. We talked a lot about bringing about change that hopefully over the course of time goes in the direction you want. Not every change and not every moment. So
yeah, and but I think it's also, those are intentional choices that we have to make. That especially when things are hard, we have to make really deliberate choices to stay in that kind of, to stick with that kind of lens. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And hope's a choice.
Yes.
Not an easy
Yeah.
one,
No.
but it's a choice. It's a great message. I hope we can all keep that hope, but also really take advantage, as you said, of this moment, to look at ourselves and where we're going and how we're getting there. And that Beth Down can be part of that process. Thank you so much. And I hope we'll continue to I certainly will, but I hope we'll all continue to hear from you periodically because we need reminders of these messages. Thank you so much.
As we thank Maureen for the time she has spent with us, we reflect on the opportunities for change that time and a bit of effort bring to us. In time, disturbances will pass. Difficulties will dissolve. In time, aggravations will be forgotten. Obstacles will be overcome. In time, we will find solutions, even to our most pressing concerns. Mountains move and even disappear. Clouds part, revealing an ever-present sun. In time, moments of desperation will give way to an inner calm, and through others we will find comfort for our fears. In time, may we find ways to accept life's unending turbulence completely and move gently forward. In time. And may this Shabbat be a taste of that time. Even our grief, of course, changes over time. Grief is a practice, not a problem to fix. A practice of holding on and letting go, of letting in and letting out, of falling and rising, of speaking and listening, of honoring and living, of trembling and soothing, of carving out a space for love and loss to coexist in our heads and in our hearts. A practice of being human. In our grief, we remember all those we've loved and lost and all those who have only us as we recite the words of our memorial. Ein bidei hakoach hamavet la'akor ma shetamun balev. Death cannot take that which is locked in our hearts. With our tears, in our sorrow, we remember. With our courage and our strength, we do not forget. Acts of kindness, deeds of courage will remain. Beauty created, wisdom shared is not lost. With our tears, in our sorrow, we remember. Im dema'ot beinenu be'et evlenu nishmor al zecher ahuvenu. With our tears, in our sorrow, we remember. Zecher tzadik livracha, may the memory of good people bless our days. Rooted deeply in the earth, yet patiently seeking the sun, emerging shoots bask in warmth and light and grow thicker. Flowers and leaves add precious beauty, yet remind us of impermanence. We embrace the welter of life, knowing the colors will fade. The tree of life is the essence that sustains us. The tree of life honors the past and nurtures the future. Memory and wisdom shelter in its encircling branches. Protected, we venture forth. We till the soil and harvest the bounty. Nourished, arms muscle up, bearing the weight of time, the burden of knowledge. Connections mingle, sap flows and enriches the brew. We teach our children. Patterns and links form fresh shapes. Balance is restored. The tree of life is the essence that sustains us. The tree of life honors the past and nurtures the future. It is enough to rest in the shade of its arbor. Eitz Chaim she is a tree of life to those who grasp her, and whoever holds on to her is content. Her ways are pleasant ways, and all her paths peaceful. On Shabbat, of course, it is our custom to share wine with family, friends, and community. The wine reminds us that it is not enough for us to quench our physical thirst. We must nourish our spirit as well. As we celebrate Shabbat, may this wine remind us to live our lives to the fullest and to embrace the joys and pleasures that life offers. Bruchim hachayim ba'olam. Blessed is the life within the world. Bruchim hachayim ba'adam. Blessed is the life within us. We conclude our Shabbat service with blessings, with a hope that blessings abound for each of us. May we know blessings those who are near. May we know blessings those who are far. May the Sabbath bring its goodness to everyone soon, wherever they are. May we know blessings through the day. May we know blessings through the night. May health be for our children and all things soon be right. May we know blessings in our comings. May we know blessings when we depart. May we live each day with peace and wisdom in each heart. And may it be a Sabbath of blessings, of peace, of wonder, of rejuvenation. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom and welcome to our online service. I am Rabbi Maureen Werber and I am honored to serve Congregation Beth Adam in Cincinnati as well as far beyond through serving